Recording. You want your mic on, John?
Hmm.
Your mic. That's good. You have to really, glad to hear it. This should move just along, just smoothly. I will call this meeting to order. If we could please get a roll call. Commissioner Hoyster here. Commissioner Liskus absent. Commissioner Petroselli.
Here.
Commissioner Meyer.
Here.
Commissioner Seal is absent. Mayor Clark.
Here.
And Chairperson Montague. Here. It looks like our only item, besides for the approval of the minutes, our only item is a public hearing. A text amendments to the Ridgway Municipal Code, Chapter 6, Building Regulations, including the adoption of certain 2024 International Code Council Code books, regional amendments to the 2024 Colorado Low Energy Carbon Code, and others, the 2025 Colorado Wildlife Resiliency Code, and others. And I will hand it over to Angie.
Thank you. This isn't going to be too different from what we went over last month, but I am hoping to get a recommendation from the council or your commission today to bring to town council. And we do have Brianne on from Lotus Sustainability. If any questions come up during our presentation, it looks like we have someone joining, so we'll just pause for a second.
Mr. Mueller, nice to see you. Welcome.
Thank you, overflow crowd.
Yeah. We
Must
should put
not
out
be anything on
chairs.
TV tonight. Sorry, I'm late.
We're just getting started.
All good. Let me make sure that this is logging screen. Okay, so the Colorado Model Low Energy Carbon Code, the LECC, was not published when we brought this to you last month, but it has been published since. And I linked to where the code can be purchased in the staff packet, just to alert you to the fact that it has been published. But to read the code language, you'll want to use the version that's in the staff packet from last month. That was like the draft. So that's available to you. And we'll be getting a copy of the book at Town Hall soon. Additionally, staff has worked on the ordinance and the red lines to Chapter 6 since your last meeting, and those were attached to your staff packet. This is a text amendment public hearing, so that process is on your screen as a reminder. The Planning Commission is going to be making a recommendation to Town Council, and then Town Council will be going through the ordinance process to update the code and adopt code books and appendices by reference. So the town of Ridgway utilizes the 2018 International Code Council Code Book currently. The standard is to update building codes every 3 to 6 years. So this spring, our goal is adoption of the 2024 I codes, which are the most up-to-date, as well as 2 Colorado state minimum codes, the Colorado Model Low Energy Carbon Code with local amendments added, and the Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code. That one does not have any amendments. So I'm just going to get into like a little bit of background. I know we went over this last month, but the 2024 International Energy Conservation Code books, or I codes, are published by the International Code Council. They serve as building codes to protect the health, safety and welfare of communities. And these are updated on a 3-year cycle. So there is a 2021 as well. And then one of the I codes is the International Energy Conservation Code, the IECC. It's the base energy code, which the Colorado Model Low Energy Carbon Code is based on. So it's the international version amended to align closer to Colorado's needs. And then we have our local amendment package. And I just want to go into a little bit of the history of like why we have a local amendment package and what the cohort is all about. So the Sneffels Energy Board communities are in a cohort. So the same entities involved in the 2021 San Miguel and Uray County climate, regional climate action plan. So Ridgway representatives have participated in these regional energy cohort meetings since September of 2024, maybe before that, when I wasn't here, to align with regional direction, to analyze the LACC in the context of our high elevation and our location on the western slope. And as these meetings progressed, a solidified regional amendment package was created. And that's what Brianne and Eco Action Partners have worked on, Lotus Sustainability and Eco Action Partners. Oops. So the Ridgway Town Council, as advised by town staff and the Ridgway Planning Commission, will have the ability to identify which amendments will work for our community. So which amendments to the LACC will work. And those are the long list that we went over last month, but I did keep them in the presentation and I'm hoping we can just go through them pretty quickly. All amendments are optional for jurisdictions to choose to include, and we have made a staff recommendation to you all on each.
And that was last month when, Jordan was. Where some of them you didn't choose because they were redundant and so forth.
Yeah, there's a few reasons why Jordan or, staff basically decided that, certain amendments didn't make sense for Ridgway. Some of them are definitely geared more toward like a Telluride or a Mountain Village. So a lot of the reasons have to do with high costs, whether they're applicable to Ridgway or if they're redundant, or also with difficulty in implementation and enforcement of those amendments. So what I did, you've seen a version of these slides before, but what I did was kind of color code them so that the ones in green are the ones that staff do recommend and the ones in red are the ones that staff do not recommend. It's also included in your packet with the commentary from staff in red. So you can, look at that if you want to in more detail. But do you want me to go just kind of slide by slide if that's okay?
Yeah, do your
Okay.
presentation. We're good. We don't need to be anywhere else.
Alright. And we can discuss as needed, so just raise your hand.
Well, you gave us a really thorough lesson last time.
Yes, and that is recorded for anyone listening. If you want to dive a little deeper into what we talked about last month, it's recorded and available. All right, so the first is the log homes additional efficiency requirements. For these, we just basically decided they're not currently part of the town's building landscape, but staff is okay with recommending them for approval. The continuous installation one has been kind of broken apart into a two-parter. The first is related to above grade walls and this R5 continuous installation. Staff does not recommend because state mandated fire codes, which we'll also be talking about tonight, could conflict possibly severely so that there's not very many design options. Then staff was okay with the R10's full slab installation requirement, which is what's required currently. This is the continuous installation portion, but it's related to the performance alternative. Again, staff does not recommend based on the Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code conflicting, possibly. Heated garages, staff was okay with recommending the R16 minimum garage door R value. Jordan did a bunch of research and the cost difference between R16 and the typical R12 is pretty minimal.
We're already at our point.
Already at R12.
I just opened my garage door up and see what I got back in 2019.
Yeah, that'd be
Probably
interesting.
12, but hopefully 16.
Yeah. Window to wall ratio, so this is talking about the 30% of the gross above grade wall. Enclosing a conditioned space. And staff was okay with this for the prescriptive pathway only. Maximum air leakage. Staff was supportive of aligning our region and our classification as climate zone 6. So it seemed appropriate for our area. It was also, I think, the number 2.5 was changed based on climate zone 6. The heat pump
Is
criteria.
Excuse
Sorry,
me,
go ahead.
has that been a requirement on the maximum air leakage? Or is this
So-
totally new thing?
Yeah, it's not a totally new thing. What Jordan had explained previously is that there was, something amended out in chapter 6 that didn't, I guess town hasn't really been, enforcing it because it was amended out in chapter 6 from the 2018 code. So this, we will put it back in with our chapter 6 red lines and recommend this amendment to the LACC based on our climate zone. Does that make sense? I think so.
Sort of.
Okay.
Sounds like it's an ad.
So the language in there is that the leakage rate should not be greater than 3 air changes per hour.
Didn't
That's the
Jordan,
original LACC language.
excuse me,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, you were speaking. Didn't Jordan say that there was some type of, process or machine that would have to be used in doing that? In the past, we haven't required it because it was
Yes.
over the top, but that we're going to, and that it's not,
Yeah,
Airport.
lower
It's
door
doable.
test is part of this. So that's what got out in chapter 6 somehow. And so when Jordan and I went through chapter 6 to do our red line, we made sure it more closely aligned with the LECC and the amendment package that we do recommend. So we're basically deleting the amendment that deleted the requirement.
you're undeleting it.
Or undeleting it.
Charles, if you have any input, feel free to speak up.
Very simple.
Oh, so I have to open it each time?
Well, this is tricky when to do something like this as a public hearing. I think what we need to do is have her go through her entire presentation. Then open it up, then talk about it here, see if we have questions for her.
Okay,
then
Thank you.
thank
Start.
you. No, it's okay, thanks.
All right. Sorry, Russ, did I sort of answer your question there or?
I've got a question.
Yes, you did, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
So did I hear you say that the state guideline was 3.0 and we're requiring 2.5, so we're half up.
I believe that is correct, and I just looked at these today, so I think that's right. I can.
No,
grab
I
it,
don't, I just
but
want to make sure.
I think it's 3, and maybe Brienne might have it handy, but I hate she's. Brienne, you can chime in if you don't mind.
Okay, I don't have the number handy, but I know the intention of this amendment was that no matter what compliance path you use, you have the same air leakage rate requirements. Is the way the code currently works. You don't have as stringent of requirements if you use the performance pathway or the ERI pathway. So this is just making the requirements the same no matter what pathway you use.
Thank you. Okay, should we move on to this one?
Anything else, people?
Okay. Heat pump criteria, and this is for residential, by the way. We will talk about heat pump criteria for commercial as well. So staff was supportive of aligning this more closely to our regional highs and lows, our regional temperature changes. So it's basically making sure that the heat pump can operate at cold climates. Okay. Demand response, this was one that was not recommended by staff, it's not applicable to Ridgway development, and this has to do with, participating in utility demand response programs. And it adds an exception to the demand response provision.
So I was kind of-
Basically-
Are we deleting the exception here, or is that?
Yeah, we're
I've read
deleting
this
the,
3 times.
yes, we're deleting the exception, that someone can't comply because of technical infeasibility. And the example that they used is off-grid homes. And we don't have any off-grid homes, so there's no real reason for us to have the exception in there. So. Renewable energy, this was another one that staff did not recommend, just because staff felt it was a larger policy discussion and not to be dictated at the like staff level. So if town council does wish to pursue this amendment, we can definitely look into it. But this is basically requiring that certain projects have to comply with either producing 100% of the building's electricity use, from a green power production program, such as SMPA's Totally Green program, or at least 50% of the building's estimated electricity use must be provided by on-site renewable energy. So
So staff
Solar.
not recommend.
staff's not recommending that. And there is a version of this in the commercial, portion as well that we'll go over.
What was your thought in not recommending it?
Cost, really just cost. So it does cost just slightly more for people to participate in the Totally Green program. The other portion is like how we administer it and monitor it. If someone, pulls their building permit and says, we're participating in the SMPA's Totally Green program, they can get past the permitting process, but then they can call SMPA the next day and switch it back to just standard. So that's part of it. But I think it was mostly cost related.
They almost got arrested.
So certainly if you all are interested in us adding this to the package that we bring to town council, we can do that. No, staff just wasn't comfortable with. We didn't have a lot of direction from you all to determine this. It seemed like a big ask.
I would love if somewhere down the road, if there's an incentive to enable them to do that,
I'm sure.
to bring down the cost or whatever. Even the 50% would be huge.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I'm in favor of the staff recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with it, I was just.
Alright, John? You're good? Alright, large homes, this is changing the large home size threshold from 5,000 square feet to 3,500 square feet. And so all of these amendments are just replacing 5,000 and 3,500. Staff was supportive of this, but we're not seeing many new homes that meet those large home sizes. Are you gonna ask the ADU question?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
what has been, we looked into it and what I think the standard is per individual dwelling units. If it's a connected ADU, then certainly that footprint would include the square footage. But if it's a separate building, then it would be counted separately.
My concern here, I want to make this point, is I don't want to discourage ADUs by this
Yeah,
requirement. And I'm concerned that it could. So as long as if it's what you're requiring is a detached, so you don't fall in. I mean, 3,500 square feet is a good sized home, but if you build 1,000 square foot ADU, then it's only 2,500 square foot, and that's.
Only if it's attached.
Wouldn't
But I mean,
they
I don't think we should.
Buy separately?
the ADU would be handled separately if it was detached.
But if it's attached,
If it's attached, then it's included in the full square footage.
Yeah,
oh,
Even if
that
it's
doesn't
on-
seem appropriate.
I don't like it.
I don't have a problem with it. I think it makes sense.
I don't. I think we should do everything to encourage ADUs.
Yeah,
I agree 100%, but I don't. think we're
Attached
gonna
or
see-
detached.
I think we, this is not something we wanna go back on just for ADUs. I think it just means people are gonna make detached ADUs. How many attached ADUs have you seen?
yeah, but if
I
someone
may.
wanted to, why couldn't it be counted separately?
It's all about.
Because it's all under one roof, it's all one footprint. So I guess if this helps a little bit. Typically, what we're seeing for ADUs is that people are coming back later and adding an ADU detached from their property or attached to their garage. We're not seeing a lot of additions that then result in an ADU. So the thought here is like, it wouldn't really change things if you design your house to have an ADU attached to it. And exceeds 3,500 square feet, like, that's a big house. But you're not like building a 3,500 square foot house and then adding an ADU just so you can avoid this threshold. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Sort of.
I mean, I think I'm getting more comfortable with it. I mean. I
Like,
just
an
don't.
ADU conversion, even in a house, a large home, would probably come later, so they would already have had to navigate this.
Well, what if I came into a bunch of money and I decided I wanted to build a house? But I was willing to also attach an ADU to it, then
You can build larger than 3,500. It just triggers some more requirements.
So
Kicks you into the net, yeah.
So,
Next level.
Brianne, you can
it
go.
requires more points.
Brianne has her hand up on the letter.
Yeah, I was
Fair.
just gonna emphasize what you explained, Angie. This isn't saying you can't build over 3,500 square feet. It's just saying you have a few more additional energy efficiency requirements. So depending on what compliance pathway you use, you either have to get more energy efficiency credits or have a more efficient home based on the modeling. So it's still totally allowed, just saying it needs to be slightly more energy efficient.
which seems, I guess that's somewhat reasonable, and if you've got the money to build that size, then you can pay for the extra stuff.
Well, and other than just the money, a 3,500 square foot home uses a lot of energy, so. Efficiency requirements. That's kind of the thought here, like, it doesn't seem unreasonable.
And if you need a workaround, then you build, then you spend the extra money and make it separate.
The vast majority of ADUs are separated. I just.
Yeah, I think you're right, John. I mean, I just don't have anything to discourage ADUs, and I'm not.
I understand.
When I read it, I was saying, we just discourage, and now that we listened to staff and I listened to the argument, I think it really probably doesn't. So I might have misinterpreted it when I read it,
So you're okay?
Yeah, so I'm probably okay.
Carry on.
All right, let me know if you
Change your mind.
after I get through the. The cold climate heat pump, this is the performance pathway. And it includes the cold climate heat pump requirement and the renewable energy requirement. And this is in the simulated building performance pathway. And staff was supportive and it makes sense for her. So it's just adding these two rows to the table in the code. So there's a ResNet, HERS, and ERI compliance that has been added.
And what is ResNet, HERS, and
Um, it- yeah, I don't know if Brianne wants to explain this better because she'll be better at it. Do you
Sure.
mind?
Yeah, so ResNet HERS is just a modeling based system that compares the energy performance of the home to a reference home, and it's a way of modeling the energy efficiency of the home. And this amendment is saying you can use that ResNet HERS system to model that energy performance, which is typically used in the region.
okay, and the ERI compliance?
The
Is that-
ResNet HERS is like a specific system to follow the ERI compliance pathway.
Okay,
So it's just specifically calling out you can use this ResNet HERS system if you're following the ERI, the Energy Rating Index pathway.
Does that make sense for everyone? ERI is the energy rating, index pathway. And Resident Hers is the program that can help you model your energy efficiency. All right. And then the ERI pathway for cold climate heat pumps and renewable energy, I already said that. It's just an update to the table. Is this the same? No, this is requirements for simulated building. This is requirements for the ERI. So those additional rows have been added. Okay, radiant heat. So this one eliminates the error in the LACC that allows for double credit for installation of radiant in-floor heating system with a high efficiency boiler. So there was a double credit that was in the LACC. And Brandon, do you know, did that get corrected before it was published? And is it something we should amend, or was that cleaned up before publication?
I can double check, but I don't think that had been cleaned up, but I'll double check on that.
Thank you. Okay, prescriptive pathway. On a platter, it adds an option for compliance through the prescriptive pathway for a home to comply with additional energy efficiency credit requirements through a predetermined list. So there's kind of a menu. And staff was supportive of this. We have Therese joining.
Can you record that, please?
I don't know what time.
5:56.
Thank you, 5:56. All right. So staff was supportive of these, but we did suggest that third party that's mentioned be modified to building department. That's the only change that we made to the amendment. Just to make it crystal clear. Solar readiness, staff didn't recommend this because it's already addressed in the LACC, so it felt redundant. Anybody need, okay. The rent temp amendment option. So this is for jurisdictions with an existing renewable energy mitigation program, which we do not have. And so staff does not recommend it. It's not applicable yet. I don't know if we'll ever get that, but the same. And then alterations, it clarifies that the additional efficiency credits are required for alterations where the work area is 50% or more. This is already addressed in the international existing building code, but staff actually, this shouldn't be read, believe that it would be a good trigger to have in here as well. So it's redundant, but it at least alerts people and makes it a little more clear if they're just looking at one code, that this is what's required.
So that's the second part of this, and you're saying it should be in green?
Yeah, the second one, 29. So any substantial improvements, that language was replaced by alterations where the work area is 50% or more of the gross condition floor area of the dwelling. So if someone's doing alterations on an existing home, that's the trigger. So that's already included in the IEBC, which is one of the codes that we'll be adopting by reference. So my bad for making it red. Now we're on to commercial. Substantial cost difference. This was for jurisdictions that want to remove the substantial cost difference waiver. And staff didn't support removing that waiver just because it felt like a larger community conversation since the implications could be large. And it might, kind of prevent larger commercial operations from
So
building care.
can you elaborate on what that is? So if you're building a commercial building and the cost to comply with these code requirements is substantial.
And it's like 1% of the project budget. is the substantial marker.
Okay, I was wondering if there was a marker.
Oh, Brian might be correcting me, sorry.
It was gonna be arbitrary.
You're correct, and I just wanted to clarify, it's for buildings that are over 10,000 square feet. And it's for specifically the readiness requirements, the electric ready, solar ready, and EV ready requirements. If implementing those are more than 1% of total project budget.
Thank you.
1% of the 10,000 square foot buildings on odd money.
A substantial
I'm fine
cost.
with it.
But how come it says substantial cost differential waiver is deleted in its entirety?
Sorry, that's just referencing that section, the waiver is deleted, so we're not recommending that the waiver.
So the double negative.
Sorry.
Yeah, so you don't want them to have the ability to get a waiver.
We want to, okay, we don't want to recommend the amendment that allows them to or that allows us to remove this waiver.
You wanna keep the
We
way,
want to keep the waiver, thank you,
that's
sorry,
what I
I-
read it after 3 times.
getting lost in the.
Oh, legally, but yeah, that's, I mean, so, yeah, it's a
Yes.
double negative, right, yeah.
So we're deleting. We're not recommending. the
But it's
amendment
only
that
for
we
buildings
deleted.
over, commercial buildings over 10,000 square feet.
Correct,
And we don't allow buildings over 10,000
well, without a
conditional.
conditional use permit.
What would a big commercial building on the Remax, the main, how big would that be?
Remax, the Remax building is pretty close to 10,000 square feet for size, mass, example. The custom building down across from, right by where the Little Boy Depot is, the beer place, that building's 9,900 square feet. So you can size and mass, that gives you an idea of what a 10,000 square foot building looks like. That, I believe, if I remember correctly, that building's just a shade under 10,000 square feet.
And that's why,
Yeah, it was good intention. I wasn't involved in it, but
of course, everything in there is squeezed to the max and they are bulging out into the alleys and the streets and their neighbors' lots. But, yeah,
Well, if you build.
carry on, I'm sorry. I digress.
Okay, the manual J stuff, more at length last month, but it's changing the design temperatures to align closer to Ridgway specifically. So it amends like a whole table, so this one's another one where I turned it red, but I guess it should be green. Staff is supportive, but it is redundant based on I code adoptions and appendices. So we have two, I guess, areas where this is addressed. Okay. Commercial heat pump criteria, so same thing with a cold climate heat pump appropriate for climate zone 6 requirement. And staff was supportive of this, and it makes sense for our region. This is for commercial.
Well, just for the record, I did a bunch of private research on this and consulted some people in the plumbing business that I think things with Montrose and they thought it was a great idea. So they thought it was well done and they said that they were all in favor and I was surprised to hear that.
Okay,
That's really good news.
Yeah,
all right. Great. The pool cover requirement and staff was supportive of this, even though it's not a common type of development here. It's just basically saying that any pool, regardless of whether it's inside or outside, needs to have this vapor retardant cover. And then renewable energy for the commercial, so the same concept here with the green power production program. Again, staff was not recommending this because it felt like a larger discussion. It's also could be cost prohibitive. And then solar ready. This was also redundant. So it's, you know, same staff recommendation from the residential solar ready component. So staff did not recommend. In the simulated building performance pathway. add this additional row that talks about, performance pathway, cold climate heat pumps and renewable energy. So I don't know how to explain this better than that right now, but staff was supportive of it and it made sense for our region.
Would you like me to explain that one?
Sure.
That's just to make sure that those cold climate heat pump requirements are across all pathways, whether you're using the prescriptive or the performance pathway. So this specific line item just adds it to the performance pathway.
Thank you. This is just elaborating on that manual J design criteria. And that's all I have for the LECC amendment package. But we are going to talk about the Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code next, just briefly again. So I just wanted to see if Brian had anything to add that the commission might want to know, or if you had anything that I said wrong that you want to correct.
You did a
Everybody else-
great job, Angie. Nothing to add.
Thank you.
I would like to open this to public comment at this point on the part we just reviewed.
On the first part,
Yeah,
which
public comment. Is there any public comment?
There might be, yes, there will
Okay.
be, but I can do it very quickly.
come on up to the podium.
Okay.
And turn on the mic by just putting your arm on.
You don't have to do it quick.
There you go.
Yeah, and tell us your name and.
Charles Mueller, I live here in Ridgway and have done a lot of construction and know a fair amount about construction. And so this is all very interesting. And I think very well meaning. Can we go back through your slide deck just quickly? And some of them I have no comments on at all, but there's a few.
Continuous insulation,
To the very beginning.
log home.
Yeah, so. This is a thermal mass discussion, but it applies across this entire energy code that in log homes don't have the thermal mass that a concrete home does, but you can do a whole lot in your design. And it makes this entire discussion about R value and tightness of your envelope, it makes it almost irrelevant, and you're still trying to get the high energy efficiency with thermal mass, but it's a totally different approach to construction. And so I don't know how to work that into what you're doing here. I just think that every time you add another layer of these requirements, it adds cost, and you think it doesn't add very much. And some of these are good changes for the better, and I'm not going to complain about all of them, but that's, I guess, my overriding comment about this thermal mass will permeate some of this other discussion. So let's roll on through. I mean, I don't particularly take issue to this. It's just, but the continuous insulation, it does apply to that. You shouldn't have to have continuous insulation on a building that's made out of concrete that has the thermal mass built in. The insulation's in the middle of the concrete of the system I'm planning to use. So it has continuous insulation, but this is a very expensive upgrade to an already very expensive insulation package on most houses. And you pretty much need to use foam, spray in foam now anyway, to reach the existing requirements. So this is a major
So the first part, as my understanding is, the first part refers to above ground, and we are not choosing to add that. And the second part refers
Below
to
ground.
the foundation, and we are looking at doing that.
And that's fine, but I don't understand quite what the remove maximum U factor part is, because U factor is the whole essence of thermal mass, just like windows are measured with U factor. But what I'm talking about is thick concrete walls, and it doesn't require cold weather heat pumps, and it doesn't require a lot of the stuff that you're currently, what are the recirc systems that they put in now that to recirc your hot air and pull in fresh air? and it's a heat exchanger. Anyhow, like Russ's new upstairs has one. And a lot of that stuff adds a lot of cost, and I'm just saying there are construction methods that where all of that shouldn't even have to come into play, but let's keep on scrolling.
Oh, we got a hand up there.
Hand up.
I can help answer the question about the U factor line. So that one is specifically talking about there is an exception in the code for the U factor for windows in buildings above 4,000 feet in elevation. And you might know more than I do about this, but technologies have improved over the years, and now windows in those buildings over 4,000 feet in elevation can meet the regular U value requirements. And so it's just removing that specific exception that was in the code.
Okay, thank you. Keep on scrolling. Next.
This is about continuous installation as well, but it's
That we're not adopting.
Okay. Go ahead.
and it also has steel frame versus wood frame.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's all right.
heated garages,
That's fine.
window to wall ratio,
Yep.
maximum air leakage.
Okay, yeah, this one, so we make the houses so tight now and about to make them tighter. You get radon issues, you get moisture issues, you get bad air issues, and again, if you have thermal mass, you're not really concerned about that as much. And no, you don't want to just have the door open when it's 0 out, but I mean, you shouldn't. I mean, I don't see why adopt more than a 3.0 if that's what we're on now. I mean, but whatever I just don't see how we have to improve on that. And if you're doing forced air, that makes sense. I understand the logic. But if you're not doing forced air, if you're doing in-floor heat, or be it electric or gas or thermal mass and solar that heats up your floor and heats up your walls, then that doesn't seem to be applicable.
Well, and I have in-floor heat in a SIPS house, and I was told that because of the tightness of it, it was highly recommended that I put in an air exchange.
These houses are getting so tight they're becoming unhealthy.
But that's
Or
not,
you have to have an air exchange. That's how
Yeah.
you avoid it being unhealthy.
We just open a window.
Well, but that doesn't work if you're so tight that you don't have the corresponding input. You have to have input and output, which is why air exchange rooms. I'm not arguing that this is what we should do. I'm just saying there's pros and cons, and I think maybe Charles is right, that we should have some. I don't know if it's possible to amend this to have exemptions for things other than forced air.
Yeah, I mean, the amendment package was just a standard we can add to it as long as we don't go below the requirement.
I have some strong feelings on this. I believe the way I understand the current code is this was recommended by the town but not required, the air exchanger. So if you could demonstrate to the building inspector that you didn't need it, it was not required, but it was recommended. And I believe that this change requires it. Is my understanding from Jordan. And
I
I
can
think
ask
there should be a
Jordan.
way to variance around it, or request variance around it.
Well. Okay, so. The state minimum code, so the LECC as it exists. We cannot go more flexible on any of the requirements in it. This is having us go a step further and creating less air changes per hour. So we can delete that, but we can't have a variance to the number that's established in the LECC.
We can't go below a 3.
Exactly.
We can go below a 2.5. But we still have to have a hairpin air exchanger by the new LECC.
but that begs the question, I mean, that has not yet been adopted, has it?
No,
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about
Yeah.
tonight.
Okay, so. Let's keep going, and then I was trying to keep it short, but that's, I mean, I appreciate if you would consider adding that in, because I think it's. From any kind of metric that I can think of, I think it makes sense, but
Well, okay, let's go back just for 1 second. So adding a variance in or adding some
For,
kind
to
of
make that
pathway?
applicable only to forced air systems, because that's what I think is contemplating.
Charles, I think what you're not understanding is we're required by the state to come up with a minimum. This is a little bit above that minimum. But all we can go back to is the minimum. We can't remove the requirement, correct?
Yes,
Well, then let's just go back to the state minimum and,
I mean, I'm in favor of removing the minimum, we as a town.
well, but we haven't yet adopted that code that you're gonna talk about adopting tonight, and so there's that, but I'm not. There's a lot of good things in that, I'm not knocking the whole thing, but it's just everything that you do here adds more and more and more costs, and you purport to not want to drive up the construction costs so much, and I promise you, this is driving it up a lot, and we talked about the 400 amp panels and all, but let's keep on going, you know where I'm coming from on that one. The heat pumps, fully in favor of using high efficiency heat pumps, but there's a lot to be said from a architectural point of view, because they're not taking up a lot of space, and I know that seems to be the way the whole world is going, is these heat pumps. I have talked to several HVAC people that seem to think they're very, very high maintenance, and they're prone to electrical surges, of which we seem to have a lot. And there's just a lot more maintenance in a heat pump than there is in a more conventional high efficiency boiler system. And there's also in-floor heat that's electric, that can go right under your slab or in your slab. That's a pretty good system, but
I was under the impression you could use a heat pump on the floor.
oh, you can, yeah, but anytime there's a increase in efficiency, there's a trade-off. You have more maintenance calls and more service calls and more breakdowns, and it's just,
I don't know that that's hard to sell. In fact, she wants to weigh.
please.
go ahead, Brianne.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, this amendment is not requiring heat pumps to be used. It's just saying if you wanted to use a heat pump, it should be a cold climate heat pump to make sure that those that are installed are performing well, so people are happy with them.
Fair enough, that makes sense. I'm sorry. Okay, let's keep going.
Demand response, the one that's not recommended by staff. Renewable energy, generated on site or purchased, not recommended by staff. At this point,
I think you can easily keep going on the not recommended ones. We
Yeah.
need to watch out for the couple that are in red, but should be
Yeah.
green.
large home size threshold from 5,000 square feet to 3,500 square feet.
Yeah, I mean, why don't you just specify that, I mean, you build a attached ADU on a house over here in Parkside. I don't know how many others there are in town, but why not just specify that it could be up to 5,000 feet if it includes the ADU? Whether it's detached or not, I mean, I don't see what harm that does.
Seems to be a point of contention on this.
I think it would be 4,500 because the maximum ADU size is 1,000 square feet.
I just think the ADU shouldn't be included in the livable square foot, it should be separate, because it's separate unit. So you have one unit that's a house, one unit's an ADU, and there's probably a firewall between them, so they're separate units.
Yeah, well, anyhow, carry on. Yeah, not gonna solve that, but, no, that's fine. 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 Let's see what's next, regional in the package, yeah, there was something on that, yeah, just, I think you ought to keep the waiver on that. Instead of, you're proposing to delete the waiver. And I think you ought to keep the waiver, so go ahead. I mean, I can see that being a really expensive thing. I mean, somebody said 1%, I think, but I'm not, I mean.
Okay, we're here then.
Okay, yes, remove the substantial. Why not keep the cost difference waiver? That's what I would lobby for. I mean,
That's what we would be doing if we don't adopt the amendment.
That was a double negative, right?
Yeah, so we're,
I'm saying, we want the differential waiver available.
And that's
And
what
yours
we're-
didn't.
That's what we're saying.
And that's what staff is saying.
Yes,
Okay, I apologize.
it's okay.
It's
Uh,
confusing.
It's a good conversation.
Okay,
Yeah, we appreciate the input.
It's a great
We don't
one.
Get any.
go ahead, yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, that's,
Public normally doesn't like us, so we like it when people come and talk to us.
um. Yeah, staff is recommending against that, that's fine, yeah. Fine,
It's just admin on the table.
okay, go ahead. Yeah, what is it currently? How much are we changing it?
I don't have that in front of me, but I could find out for you.
I mean,
But it's based on a temperature scale for, specifically for Ridgway and not for all of Colorado, which is how it was set up.
I'm curious if that's a 20% design change or it doesn't get to zero very often. It does get to 87 a lot. But anyhow, go ahead.
Okay. That's it.
Okay, and I'm in favor of all the woo-wee stuff. I think it's gonna run up cost a lot. And to my point about that earlier is, this is probably not as negotiable as adopting some of these other energy codes. And this, I think the insurance industry is gonna require it, the state's probably gonna require it. And I'm in favor of it. I'm just saying don't let anybody kid you that it's not gonna make things a lot more expensive to build.
I'd like to go on record here. I agree that it's gonna become very significant. I think in near future, insurance companies will require wildfire compliance certificates. So there's a business that you could get into if you get into a job. But I think that big lumber is gonna come up with a solution to this.
Oh, they have, and it's real expensive.
Well, like LP Smart Side does not comply with this yet. Cause it's not been adopted yet. But I'll bet you Starbucks, they'll comply real quickly. So right now, and we've had this discussion. My concern was all stuck on in metal.
It's gonna look like Santa Fe.
Yeah, but I don't think that's gonna be reality here in a little bit. I think this fire code is gonna have more impact on housing costs than the energy code. And we're focused on the energy code and not on the wildfire. I think the wildfire code, the insurance companies love this, and once they sink their teeth into it, it's gonna become a big.
Well, I'd rather spend our money on this and
Yeah.
leave the whole energy code thing. I mean, you can do it next year, you can do it in 2 years, but I think it's not required now, and I think you're rushing into it, but I guess that's it, isn't it? There's
Are
one or
we
two
required
more.
by state to do this?
We're required to adopt the LECC if we're updating our building codes,
What about-
which we're updating our building codes.
What
is
about
the-
the WUI?
Oh, this one, yes, this one's required, and we're actually not gonna meet the adoption deadline,
Yeah.
but we could meet I think Charles is talking about the LECC and the 2024 I codes. So because we're updating our building codes, because we're switching to the 2024 I codes, then we have to adopt the LECC with that package.
Does this WUI require us to update our building code as well? I mean, we're kind of in a pinch here, right?
This doesn't have, it does have specific implications to our building code, but it's really a separate code.
Okay.
Regardless of what else you're doing, you have to adopt it.
Yes. So
Hi,
if we weren't. Grace.
hi, I'm sorry, I can't figure out how to raise my hand. I've been trying to get in here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I'm late. I just wanted to kind of throw a little bit in with Charles's presentation. Talking to Jordan, he really felt that this adoption of the new code will actually give us more flexibility. Where the existing code says you can only have, say 10% glass and you have to have an R5 continuous outdoor installation. It's a lot of, you absolutely have to have pieces. But the newer code gives us more flexibility where we can say, we'll increase our insulation if we increase our glass, or if we have less glass, we can have less insulation. And it might actually give us a little bit more flexibility. And as far as like the ERVs go, those are the ventilation systems you were thinking of, the energy recovery ventilation systems. It I used to think it was really a waste of money to when you could just open a window. But it's not just opening a window; it actually preheats the air. So it takes the warmth from inside your house, preheats that air that's coming in. So you're not bringing in cold air. And that's why people find them to be more efficient. The And the other thing is the moisture in our houses, because we're building these houses so tightly. There's really a lot of condensation issues. I know the house that JT Thomas built over there by Space to Create, and I believe it was 2018. It was a really tight house and it didn't have a ventilation system in it. Clint Estes built it. And within a year, he was starting to have condensation and mold issues. Clint said to me, I'll never build a house without an ERV again. I know all of this stuff adds a lot of cost, and I don't like that at all. But I think this is just something we have to adopt, this new code, and the energy code comes with it. But I really think once we get into this code, it's going to give us a few more options where we can say, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do the standard spray foam insulation like you were saying, Charles, because you're doing a concrete house. And that's going to give you a higher insulation value. So that might allow you to say, well, but maybe I'm not going to put in something else. It's a give and take system, whereas right now these are the absolutes.
Thank you. I've
Thanks,
never heard of, yeah, that's good explanation.
And I'd like to add that I had to do the ERV system, and it's not, I mean, everything adds up, and everything that costs more adds up and makes your cost more, but it's not cost prohibitive. My one word on that is to make sure you plan it properly. Mine was a bit of an afterthought, like the house wasn't done yet, but you have to plan for it. Thank you for your input, Teresa, appreciate it.
I think I'm done, but anyhow, thank you guys.
Well, and thank you, Charles.
Yeah.
As you can see, we don't have a big audience, so we'd like to have feedback, because we're not experts on this either.
I just doesn't see. In closing, it doesn't seem like you have to adopt the energy code. I mean, as this explanation, I mean, there's probably a lot of good things, but on balance, I promise you, it's a lot more expense than, I mean, why not, you could wait a year or wait 2 years.
Well, I think we're updating our building code, and that is why we're required. Is that right?
Yeah, we don't have to update our building codes, but to be in line with what's standard, I mean, 3 to 6 years is how long we should usually go. We should technically be on the 2021 iCode, so this is just.
Besides, we don't have anything else to do.
Well, and as Teresa said, it's giving us more options, so it could actually be a good thing.
I agree with Therese. I've heard the same thing she has. And I think that although this seems intimidating, it gives the builder more flexibility to swap this for that. Especially with the window percentage of its wall area, and you can window UVs or the U value on the window. So I'm 100% in agreement with what Teresa presented.
Which seems hard to believe, because usually life doesn't work that way, where actually updating something makes it more flexible, or is a good thing.
Well, we've also heard, sorry, go ahead. I'm sure.
I'm done.
Okay, and Jordan agrees with this. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but this is my understanding. that the 2021 I codes were a lot more strict and stringent, and so 2024 is definitely the better code
the
package
two.
to adopt.
And so we're
Yes.
skipping 21, we're on 18.
Exactly.
I've heard the same thing, so I agree with Jordan.
All right.
I would defer to Jordan if that's how he feels, because he's living it.
Hey, should we move on to wildfire?
Yes,
response?
please.
Okay. So I won't spend too much time on this. We all understand what a state minimum code is and that this is required. We are not suggesting any amendments to or taking this any further than it already goes. So I'll just give a little bit of background. On July 1st, 2025, the state of Colorado adopted this code, which establishes the minimum requirements for structural hardening with the goal of safeguarding life, property, and reducing the potential spread of fire. The code applies to many areas of the state where habitable structures exist, and especially important areas with plentiful wildfire urban interface. So here's that adoption timeline. Again, we're not recommending any amendments. So this note here that the code is required, but the appendices are optional. Staff does not recommend adopting the appendices, which cover things that are already handled in our established building permit process. So it covers like permitting, construction documents, inspection and enforcement. So it's kind of like a way for communities that don't have building regulations to also adopt this code. Ridgway has been classified as moderate intensity. That's like covers pretty much the entirety of the town. So we would fall into this class 2 category, which does require that we comply with all of the class 1 requirements plus everything else. So it's the more strict version. So this is the map, and according to the state, the map will be updated to reflect conditions every 3 years following adoption. And we did talk about some of the like ground truthing and mapping options that staff chose not to pursue with this. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but mostly it really didn't seem very easy to do, even if you put in the time, effort, and money. But the folks that are helping implement this in small jurisdictions that are giving us like some feedback and guidance on how to go through adoption and how to actually use the code, thought that maybe the state would eventually be making it a little more simple to do ground truthing. Oh, then I'll keep the map up.
Are you looking for your house on there, Jack?
No, I'm trying to define where this is. What these low intensity areas, is this small?
Yeah. No, I'm on this little map I'm looking at. Log Hill's
That's
not
not
Log
Log,
Time.
sorry. That's like the Eagle Ranch, yeah, Eagle.
That's Eagle Hill. So that's the meadow or something.
Eagle Hill and River Sage,
Eagle Hill, what?
River Sage and Sweetwater.
I'm looking at that map and I can't really figure out where it is.
Does this help?
So like this is the top of your map. Can everybody see my cursor?
Yeah.
This is the top of stage. So back to the
I think it's
town.
beyond Vista Terrace. Mike, if
So
that's,
that's County Road 10.
yeah, maybe that's out by Second
So-
Chance.
So I was trying to figure out, it's probably County Road 10.
We're looking at a bigger version of it in the packet.
Okay,
I saw this in Montrose the other day, I couldn't figure out where everything was, so.
all right, I'm gonna move on. So there's a number of exemptions, and we talked about the designated historic structures exemption last month. Which basically just means that maintenance of a historic structure is not subject to the regulations here. And there's plenty of other exemptions listed. If anybody wants to chat about these, we can definitely spend some time here. They all make a lot of sense to me. here's a summary of the regulations. This is kind of busted up into class 1 and class 2. Or I guess it's all class 2, but I don't know, some of them are class 1 and class 2.
This is
I've
a,
learned a lot reading on this. I mean, this has been real informative for me. I didn't realize that asphalt shingles were vital.
Yeah,
I didn't, they're real combustible.
Yeah, they've always been,
They make some of them that aren't, but.
Yeah, we'll soon be making a whole lot more.
I read about that in the California fires where the
Right.
sparks would just get in those little crevices and burn right on through.
yeah, but we've always thought that they were
Yeah.
a better roof material.
There are Class A shingles, asphalt shingles.
There are,
There are.
so adoption is required, but this code does afford some flexibility for our code official to kind of come up with interpretations. And in compliance with the intent. But we can't waive a requirement. So there's some flexibility in just like how it's written to make some interpretations. The code relies on owners for long-term compliance after initial inspection, which is an important aspect to consider. Because a lot of this kind of covers the gambit. It talks about, landscaping and site layout, building materials, fences, decks, address marking even, so. Covers a lot of pieces.
So basically, this code covers new construction or substantial additions, but once you pass that, it's really up to you to keep up to date on this stuff.
Yes,
what I understand is on the energy code, you're required to comply at 50% of the additions. Under the fire code, you're required to comply at 25%.
so 25% has to do with the reconstruction, replacement, or alteration. Or exterior walls and roofs.
So if you're changing 25%, over 25% of your house, then
Then
this
all of
comes
it.
into play.
So that's. This might be one of the weeds, but if you have a tree fall down and hit your roof and you have to replace 25% of the roof. You have to replace your whole roof because that tree fell and the insurance company's not covered. So there's some unintended consequences here. That we discussed in Montrose County the other day. So I'm sure there'll be amendments coming soon.
We shall see. All right. So, like I said before, the class A stuff is nested under class 2. So basically it's cumulative. Everything required for class 1, plus the additional requirements. Okay, that's clear.
I'm sorry,
Uh,
Angie. Can you go back? Did that say that you can't plant new trees? Can you go back one more slide?
I believe it does.
No planting of new trees?
It's talking about in that specific zone.
Within the 5 feet. Okay. Sorry.
That's this.
All right.
Which should be the rule anyway.
And that's really all I have for the wildfire resilience code. Like I said, if folks are confused or need some help, you can send them to our office and we have like various handouts and things that have been produced by different entities to help them navigate this. And so here I have some of our key dates on the screen. There is an all-day training for the building community on March 26th in this room for the LECs. So I have some flyers here. Anybody wants one? And the assumed adoption schedule is here, so I highlighted I made the deadline for adoption of the Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code in red because we will not be meeting that deadline.
So what happens?
As far as I can tell, nothing. That's what I've heard from everyone we've asked.
And we have it scheduled, so it's in progress.
Yes, and the date for implementation is July 1st. So we do still have or intend to make the effective date for the ordinance July 1st. And that's for both codes. So this is, like I said, a public hearing, staff has made a recommendation for adoption of the state minimum codes, the LECC and the WRC, the 2024 I codes, the appendices and code books identified in the ordinance, and select amendments to the LECC. And that's here with the motion on the screen, which does highlight staff's recommended amendments.
So is there anything that we need to revisit? The only thing I recall that we kind of put a pin in was the 2.5 air leakage thing, and I think you said that the minimum for the state was 3. Do we need to revisit that one? I think that was the only one that we really had a
Yeah,
Raising the
sustained
standard.
concern.
We're raising the standard above the state minimum.
yeah, I have a note here to check with Jordan about it, but you guys were a little conflicted on whether you wanted to just keep the LECC as written. And that's for amendment number 10.
I'd like to hear Teresa's feelings on this as somebody who has a lot of experience with type homes and.
I would like, I mean, I don't think that we need to be the example of efficiency at this point. I mean, I think going with the state minimum is really the way to go, and we could tighten it up in the future. But this is all pretty novel stuff, and I really think we should not shoot ourselves in the foot and go with the minimum, and then tighten it up later on once we know how everything is going to work together.
Okay, thanks for that.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, that's like the one point here that we're like, let's ease up on that maybe a little bit.
Sure.
So do you want to exclude that from the recommendations to town council and just remove that amendment?
Yeah, just leave
Okay.
it, because that leaves it at 3.0.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I can't put that into numbers, but it's a really small difference, square footage wise. It's really hard to grasp, but it's a really small amount.
Okay, I will let Jordan know that that's your recommendation on that one. So were there any other staff recommendations that you guys disagreed with or wanted to go a different direction on tonight?
So,
I think staff did a good job.
That was a lot of work.
but I think it's really important, some of the points Charles has made is, we're like, oh, somebody should do something about the affordability in Ridgway. Nobody can afford to live here or build a house here anymore, and we have to move forward on the safety stuff and the stuff that's mandated by the state. And we want to be energy efficient and all that great stuff. But then at the same time, we're like, oh, nobody can afford to live in Ridgway except for super rich people. It's unfortunate.
Well,
I'm sorry. I totally agree with that. I think we've gone so far towards affordability, but every time we add a regulation, we take a step back.
I've thought a lot about this, and I think that you both are correct on this, but we need to be wildfire compliant. And I've looked at a lot of this energy code, and at first I thought it was onerous and overbearing, but as I dug into it, I don't think it's as overbearing as I originally thought. And I think with the heat pumps and the ability to still use gas, it's better than I had expected.
Yeah, we are in no way and at this point outlawing gas, just for the record.
I mean, high efficiency gas boiler within 4.8 works good, and this allows them. And it's not increasing the cost of a house that you're out of there.
So I think we're good other than that one thing.
So a motion?
I would move to recommend approval of the text amendment finding that the criteria set forth in RMC 7-4-2 parent D have been met with staff's recommended amendments to the low energy carbon code selected from the regional amendment package. With the one exception that we are removing the
Number 10.
item number 10.
Second,
Could I please get a roll call vote?
Absolutely. Commissioner Foister,
Yes.
Commissioner List is absent, Commissioner Petroselli,
yes.
Commissioner Meyer,
Aye.
that was an aye?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Seal,
We have Preston with his hand raised, if I can interrupt.
okay,
You can't really interrupt her.
Okay.
Roll call, I'm sorry, Preston.
Sorry.
Commissioner Seal,
Yes. Yes, aye.
okay. Mayor Clark
Aye.
and Chairperson Montague,
Aye.
thank you.
The motion passes unanimously. Let's please hear from Preston.
Hey, thanks, y'all. I just want to say a big thank you to Angie and Jordan for spending a lot of time navigating this whole process and participating on that energy code cohort. It's been a lot of months and a lot of time and energy. So I think we should all give a huge shout out to Jordan and Angie for that great work.
I agree.
Yeah.
Thanks for saying
I
that.
thought he was interrupting because we did something wrong.
Me too.
I didn't think so.
She's like, oh no.
I didn't.
And we appreciate your expertise. Like I said, we're not experts on this stuff at all.
Yeah, Jordan's done a lot, but.
We're following
Looking
your
into
lead.
this.
The technical parts of this,
Mhm.
you know, like Charles brings stuff to our attention, I didn't know those, you know, yeah.
I think Jordan's input has really mitigated my original concern, so I really enjoyed his input and benefited from it, so.
And if
it's
people
been
are,
good.
if people are scared out in the community, please have them come to our office and chat with us. That's
Right,
what we're
'cause
here for.
You guys live here too, and Jordan has a house here. He doesn't want to raise the price any more
No,
than is unavoidable.
I think the Angie and Jordan team are amazing.
Thanks, Trace.
Thank you for pointing that out, Preston. I think the only thing we have left on our big agenda is the approval of last month's minutes. I'm sorry, do you have anything else first?
There's just the two items that are basically staff updates and planning commission updates.
Okay, we're gonna
And I
come
don't
back
have-
to that, so I'll get approval on the minutes. and we'll
Those
come
are
back.
item 3 and 4, so you're good.
Thank you.
There is one, problem with the, with the minutes is that I inadvertently put January 2025 minutes, and we were in fact in January 2026.
Okay.
picky.
That's an easy, yeah,
I'm
that's
second.
all good.
I'll second it with Julie's change.
I didn't catch that.
And again, I'll need a roll call vote. Because we're not all here in person. A roll call vote.
Oh, roll call vote, okay, great. Commissioner Foister,
Aye.
Commissioner Lisk is absent, Commissioner Petroselli,
Aye.
Meyer,
Abstain, I was not there.
that's right. Seal,
Aye.
Mayor Clark,
I,
and Chairperson Montague.
Aye.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Okay, updates. What are you interested in being updated on? Does anybody want to hear about
New applications.
stuff?
How about new applications? Any new exciting stuff coming here?
We do have some applications in process. And I think that May will be a very busy meeting, but I don't believe that any will be ready for next month's meeting.
We'll get them all done.
I don't know yet. I think
We're gonna
I might
have
have something else to bring you. But I'll let you know as soon as I know. Okay, and then we did apply to DOLA for the ADU grant. And that is to create permanent ready ADU plans. So
That's
hopefully
great.
we'll get that going, and then we've also, town council did award the contract to Points Consulting for the housing action plan. So if you remember, they did our housing needs assessment.
Yeah, they were great to work with.
So we're excited to work with them again.
I've got a question. So it's the town's position that, for, River Park to change its plat, it's gonna require a rezoning?
So because a PUD is effectively a zoning document, we have created a pathway that includes a PUD amendment and a plat amendment processed concurrently. And then basically we need an HOA. We need the HOA to change their documents, their governing documents. So that it aligns with what they're aiming to do, and then we can get a signature from an HOA representative instead of gathering signatures for all people in the community, all owners. And so that way it would be a legislative rezoning.
Yeah, I'm familiar with from the HOA now. What much manager about?
Oh, did I answer your question or no?
Yes, you.
Okay.
I'd like to back up when like, we haven't gotten the grant yet, but I think that's gonna be a conversation about those, building ready ADU plans. We've talked about it here before, and there was some talk about offering smaller size plans, and I think we really all need to have a conversation about that, because I don't know that that is going to be in our best interest. I think if someone is spending the amount of money that it costs to build an ADU these days, they're probably not going with the smaller versions. I think we'll need to talk about that.
I think it'd be interesting to, so I've read and looked at the ones that Montrose developed. I think that would be a great introduction.
Yeah.
Because they did a whole bunch of
examples.
variety.
Yeah.
I thought they did a good job.
Yeah, I could pull some examples.
And we've seen some here.
I agree with Pam. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I wasn't going into depth with those, it's just
Okay.
kind of flashing on the screen,
Sure.
other communities that have.
Yeah.
But they've actually done it.
Mhm.
I agree with Pam. I'm not sure that we have to recreate this. We might inherit some.
Yeah.
And it saves some money and therefore create more flexible plans.
I just thought they did a good variety.
Awesome.
But thank you for applying for that grant. That's great.
Well, you've done really well so far.
That's all I have, thank you. Does
Great work.
anybody?
Thank you.
So before we close out, so on the river project over here, I noticed they came to council about getting, I don't know if was it a variance or a change in their affordable housing requirements.
AMI.
Yeah, their AMI, and I think it was a couple of different things I read, and I forgot what it was that I read. And I was curious why that didn't come through zone, came through P and Z.
Yeah,
That's the right to council.
it was in their development agreement, so I don't know if you guys had, reviewed their original development agreement, I think it was.
That answers the
20
question.
Oh, okay.
But what they were doing was getting permission to rent to long-term rent the deed restricted units until they sell.
So
At a steeper affordability target.
what I,
Plus raising the AMI so more people could qualify.
Yes.
back to my question, what I'd like to have is the discussion is it seems that these deed restricted units aren't selling. And that we haven't had that discussion. I think we should monitor what's out there. I think it's our job to monitor what's in the market, and how well it's selling, and maybe even who's buying.
Well, we have someone that's doing that now, right? Eva Hansen with
Yeah,
the
that's
hearing
great.
homelessness, so we
Well,
can
great.
get that information
Fabulous.
anytime we request it, I
I
believe.
think, Jack, I think the main issue is lack of awareness of what's available, and this new housing administrator is gonna help with that.
I think we're tasked with helping those units sell as a board, and I'm willing to help. I'm willing to volunteer, whatever that takes, because not only do I want to create affordable housing, because I want them to be absorbed.
Well, and she was here, for the last event at the, Space to Create, which I believe you were at, and you probably talked to her.
Okay.
She's great. Yeah. Plus,
Oh, I did talk to her. That's right. She's from Drake.
yeah. So reach out to her. She can give you all the
Okay.
information of the entire inventory of the county of affordable housing that's available for sale.
Plus,
Fine.
what they just did on the river development is they just addressed, remember that cart pinwheel traffic, they just moved that needle by making it more accessible. So the problem has been often is the units there, but if people make too much money, they can't qualify to apply. And by doing this, I'll be very curious to see if that helps them sell those visas.
I think this is a much bigger picture, so I'm thinking about it from 30,000 feet. I think the, urban homes and majors are really concerned about building speculative deed restricted units going forward, because it's some struggle selling them. So this is a bigger picture than just the riverfront. And
Jack, I
think-
totally agree. Yeah, I'm afraid we're flooding the market with deed restricted units at this point with too many restrictions on them.
So that's the point I was making, is I think we need, as a board, to understand that. And, there seems to be a market influence on this that I didn't anticipate. And I don't think the towns anticipate, and I think we need to be aware of it.
Yeah.
And pay attention to it. So instead of, and this is just talking, here, we require a developer to produce all our required ADUs up front. So maybe we should allow them to phase it. So that after they get absorbed, so things like that might be appropriate.
But another example would be we allowed that over at the, whatever it's called.
North Flora.
Unaffordable housing. What's it called?
The one at North Flora?
Yeah. And,
No.
Main Street Commons.
Main Street,
Thank
the
you.
whole Main Street.
Right, and about, what is it, 3 new buildings were built and they're none of the ones with the affordable housing. So will the other ones that include affordable housing ever be built? At some point, maybe.
They weren't ever built in River Park. I mean, all phase one in River Park was built with no affordable housing, and the part of when they were doing phase two wasn't gonna get approved until the phase one houses were built. So this is a recurring problem, where the affordable housing gets pushed out to the dumpster and never gets built. And,
We've talked about this.
so this is,
I think this is primarily an AMI issue, honestly. I really like.
well, I hope you're right.
Because there's certainly plenty of people who would like to buy a house here.
I kind of disagree. I think
House.
when you get to 150% AMI, you don't want to deed restrict.
Well, and
That's all.
that's something that they found at Urban Homes was people were reluctant to sign on to the deed restriction because
They're close to getting it non-deed restricted.
it's a pretty serious deed restriction, but as we see in Telluride, without that serious deed restriction, you give a deal to the first people that come through and then it's gone. It doesn't on market is what they found, and that was what they had hoped with their county deed restriction, and it didn't work. You know, there's
And it's
houses now that are deed restricted for $1 million,
I
$2
think
million.
Grace has been trying to talk for a while.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm
Go
sorry. It's so important to remember that it's not just AMI, it's interest rate too. Those two numbers work together. And, until the interest rate drops down and the AMI goes up, we're going to have such a narrow pool of people that can qualify. That's what the Ridgway homes, what are they called? The Wetterhorn?
Mhm.
They've asked that phase two allow more rentals. And I really, I think we just can't keep building deed restriction homes that only a very narrow path can accommodate. That we maybe need to start looking at, do we need to be offering more rentals? There's only so many people in our area.
Charles?
According to the paper last week, I think, Telluride paper, there were 41 or 44 empty deed restricted units up there right now. It seems like a big number to me, and I'm not sure why they're all,
Because they're not available for rental. Could be made available for rental.
And we need to know what the AMI requirements are. So we need to understand all that stuff. Maybe it's not our job, but
I will also say
Well,
that,
some of that, I'm sorry, Pam, go ahead.
Telluride's a lot more transient population than ours. We always try and build community. We're trying to bring people into Ridgway to stay. I don't know if that's part of it. It's just a lot.
it probably has something to do with the ski season and how crazy it was, and a lot of people had to leave, or I don't know.
Will some of this information we're asking for come out of this next study?
I believe so. I think it's one of the benefits of having points on board because they're obviously very, very familiar with our needs. So creating actions that align with the housing needs assessment, and kind of discovering any issues that are there. Maybe we can look at the real estate information a little
Yeah,
more
we need-
closely. You know, they're economists, so they're really good at like delving into this stuff.
They need MLS help.
Okay.
Fix that.
Thank
When
you,
do we
Jess.
start?
We laid out a schedule in the RFP that was released and it's still up on the town website. I can go and look for it right now. I don't remember the anticipated kickoff date. But we're just going through like the contract with them right now.
Great.
One of the other things I'd be interested in looking into is a while back, Angie shared a forum of a bunch of like 4 different municipalities. And in that was Park City. And apparently they had done a significant amount of work on modifying their deed restrictions so that ideally you wouldn't get caught out in the situation that we're in right now. I'd be very interested to follow up with the Park City deed restriction information and see if there's anything we could gain from that as well.
Yeah, I can look into that. I'm kind of deep in the community housing regulations right now, so all of the stuff that you're talking about right now is gonna directly affect kind of the next version. But I guess to point out just a couple of things that Eva's doing besides keeping track of what units are available and who's looking for units. She's helping us navigate creating a deed restriction that can be used regionally. So I don't know if that's what the status is of that right now. We have a draft one that has been used for like we'll see it come through for Riverfront Village. They modified it slightly, but you know, some kind of template deed restriction that is pretty standard and aligns with the community housing regulations is the direction I'm hoping we can go. So, great. Let's see, the date you were looking for is in here. Our schedule is that the project should start by the 23rd.
Great. We'll have answers to our questions in no time. October 24th, right?
Yeah. Just, sorry, one other thing about the units being on the market. So with Riverfront Village, they don't have all 4 of their deed restricted units listed right now.
Oh, there you go.
I don't think so.
I don't, they might know.
And I know they have to have them listed for using them for rentals, but it was kind of a strategic move to not list them all at the same time. So that might be why they're not full, or, you know, they're,
I'm
like,
just,
I had to send Eva the information about those deed restricted units because she couldn't find it readily available online. Maybe that has changed since, but just pointing that out.
I'm just real curious about John's argument and my argument. I'm just curious, as we increase the percentage of AMI, if we lose the buyer. And I don't know the answer to
If
that.
we lose the what?
The buyer.
There will gain more buyers.
You know,
It's not what I've seen in discussions at the state, but
I hope you're right. I hope you're right, but that's a concern of mine. I think when the buyer gets close where he doesn't, a little bit more money and he could buy a non-deed restricted unit, he's gonna balk at buying it, and maybe I'm
But the
overthinking it.
people with the lower MI would still be available to be able to buy it.
But the jump
It's-
between an AMI restricted unit and a market unit is pretty
Pretty
big.
big.
It's like double.
I agree,
It's a big leap.
I agree.
I agree that raising the AMI is a great thing. I'm afraid that as the interest rates are rising, we're not accommodating the missing middle. And that's really a huge concern of mine.
Well, there's things we can control and things we can't control.
6% rate has been average for 50 years in the business, so we're at a normal rate right now, so.
But-
From all the discussion I've seen at the state, the way that everybody seems to think to address the missing middle is by raising the AMIs. And
Exactly.
so, this definitely warrants more conversation, but I think we need a little more input from the experts, get some experts at the table.
Well, and how many people know about the funds that are available from Telluride Foundation, to help them get started?
Right.
Like not very many.
It's good, that's gonna improve with municipal.
Yes, Eva is very aware of that, and the deed restriction template that I mentioned earlier is going to hopefully align with the requirements of Telluride Foundation, so someone could, very easily meet those requirements.
I can't remember, did any of you go to the raising the roof thing that the Shirley Diaz did at the face grade last week or so ago?
I didn't even know about it.
It was, I'm the one. You know, you didn't get, I mean, I was on my radar. Last Thursday, I think it was,
I didn't really know what it was because I was never on any of the emails before, and I got invited with the kind of last minute. So I didn't
Used to be
really
that of the, yeah.
He works for the state.
until I was.
It was a great event, day-long event, I think 30 or 3:30, I had to talk about early, but, I met this woman, Andy Alexander, who does, classes for first-time homebuyers.
I know him.
I know her too.
So, I wanna get her to come in with the classes.
I've been to those classes.
There's just one piece of bus, just one
Yeah.
piece.
I hope I'm overthinking it, and I hope I'm overreacting, and I hope John is correct about this. And I hope that.
Well, it'd be nice to do like a first time home buyer thing, but also like a deed restriction education
Yeah.
sort of blitz. Alongside that.
For sure.
Okay,
Are we done?
Oh, sure. It's up to me.
well,
I make a
planning
motion.
commission, do you have any updates? That's kind of the next item, so. No.
County Planning Commission is still working, we're working through definitions, just like we did. There's also a fairly energetic conversation about, swapping, mining,
Thanks.
claims, thank you. Cause when people are trying to put 35 acres together and is it swappable, not swappable? Can it be swapped more than once?
Very interesting.
Before or after the ground has been disturbed? It's an interesting conversation.
Thanks, Pam. Sure. Anybody else?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Sorry, girl, I scared you. Charles, thanks for being here.
Thank you guys,
But yeah.
a lot going on, I appreciate it.
It's a big piece of moving it.
I might be overthinking.
You're always welcome.
I'll do it more often.